Everyone keeps talking about mastering the flow state as if it's some secret club that only the few get to join. But the reality is that most people are just content living at half speed. Pretending a few minutes of distraction-free work is what it means to be in flow. And if you're honest with yourself, you know you've never really experienced what it's like to have your mind and body fused into a single unstoppable force, where time dissolves and your results start compounding while everyone else is still busy talking about their morning routine. What nobody wants to admit is that flow is not about feeling good or waiting for motivation to strike. It's about engineering your mind for ruthless efficiency, forcing yourself into a level of focus that burns away all the dead weight. And the funny thing is, it isn't even that complicated if you actually understand how to stop sabotaging yourself. But most people are too busy worshiping their to-do lists and productivity apps to ever notice. Here's what you probably haven't realized. The reason you never hit flow consistently isn't because you're lazy or undisciplined. It's because you're addicted to control. You want every second planned and every task mapped out before you take action. And that's exactly why you keep getting destroyed by the tiniest bit of uncertainty. But if you want to dominate your work, your projects, and your life, you need to inject a little chaos into your system and force your brain to wake up. Start by setting a timer for some random amount of time that makes no sense. 37 minutes or 9 or maybe 24. And don't look back at the clock until it ends. Because this one simple act rips you out of the autopilot trance and puts you into a state of high alert. Suddenly, every second matters, and you start working with an edge that no ordinary schedule can give you. This is what it means to use clockwork surrender, where the unpredictability itself becomes a weapon, not a weakness. While everyone else is coasting along, you'll notice how your mind becomes sharper, your senses heighten, and you're no longer just checking boxes, you're moving with a sense of urgency, focus, and even a little bit of danger. And this is where real flow starts to appear, not in your comfort zone, but on the edge of it. But let's be real, even with this kind of intensity, you're going to hit that wall sooner or later. The one where your motivation suddenly drops off a cliff, your mind goes blank, and every fiber of your being screams at you to quit or check your phone or wander off. And this is where most people fail, because they believe the wall is real. They see the first sign of friction and immediately surrender to it. But what separates people who actually get results is how they respond to that wall. Here's the move. When you hit resistance, set a 5-minute timer and force yourself to keep going. Not because you think you can break through, but because you know the wall is a lie. And if you just keep pushing for 5 more minutes, something changes. Your mind adapts. The resistance crumbles. And suddenly, you're flying past the place where everyone else would have quit. This is the 5-minute annihilation rule in action, and it's how you rewire yourself to see obstacles as invitations instead of roadblocks. You'll realize that what you thought was exhaustion or creative burnout was actually just a test, a threshold, and on the other side of it is a surge of momentum that will carry you for hours. But most people never experience it because they never force themselves to stay in the fire long enough for it to happen. And that's why their work always feels like a struggle instead of a breakthrough. Of course, there's another trap that keeps people stuck: perfectionism. The obsession with planning and analyzing and making sure every move is right before they actually start doing anything. And if you're honest, you know you've wasted more time tweaking systems and second-guessing yourself than actually producing results. But flow doesn't show up when you're trying to control every variable. It appears when you finally let go and allow your subconscious to take the wheel. This is where mindless mastery comes in, and it's the polar opposite of what you've been taught about self-improvement. Because instead of trying to perfect every detail, you stop thinking, you stop planning, and you just let your hands move. You trust the process enough to create ugly drafts, messy outlines, and broken prototypes, because you know that true genius only emerges when you're willing to bypass your inner critic and let raw output lead the way. When you stop overthinking and just act, you access a part of your brain that's been storing connections, ideas, and skills for years, and suddenly the work flows through you faster than you can keep up. You produce more in 30 minutes than most people do in an entire afternoon, and you start to realize that the less you control, the more you actually accomplish. Because flow isn't about effort, it's about surrendering to a higher form of performance. Now, if you actually put all of this together, the unpredictability of clockwork surrender, the brutal honesty of the 5-minute annihilation, and the fearless output of mindless mastery, you become a completely different animal. You don't need more motivation. You don't need a new app or another routine. You just need to start treating flow like something you engineer, not something you wait for. And the world starts to bend around you because you're finally operating at a level where real results get produced. You have to be honest with yourself. Are you going to keep living like everyone else, bouncing between distractions and excuses? Or are you actually going to weaponize your own psychology and master the flow state on command? Because there's only one group of people who ever accomplish anything, those who are willing to do what the rest refuse to try. And at the end of the day, you'll either look back at a year wasted or a year where you outpaced everyone you know. If you can handle the truth, if you're done pretending that working hard is enough, then you're ready to step into the arena where flow becomes normal, not rare, and where your output puts you so far ahead that no one else can even see your dust. But if you'd rather keep playing safe, you're free to keep reading books, buying courses, and wondering why nothing changes. Because the real difference is never in the tools, it's in the way you attack your work. The choice is simple. You can keep doing what everyone else does and keep getting what everyone else gets. Or you can take these principles and make them the default setting of your mind. And when you do, you'll start to see the compound effect of real flow. Not just in your work, but in your life, your energy, and your ability to create breakthroughs on demand. If you actually want to experience what it's like to run laps around your old self and leave everyone else guessing how you do it, try this for a week. Let go of your obsession with control, hit the wall and smash through it, and stop pretending that planning is the same as progress. Then come back here and tell me you don't feel different. Because once you taste real flow, you'll never go back. Like and subscribe if you're ready to master the flow state, and share it with your friend who keeps scrolling TikTok.